Welcome back, divers. I am your host, Cosmic.
And I'm your co-host, Twist.
And today's topic is going to be, damn, Diddy. Let's get into it. So we are back again, guys, to talk about, once again, Diddy. Diddy has finally been arrested, and he is struggling right now in his living situation. What do you have to say about that, Twist?
Oh, I have so many feelings. This is unpopular, but I feel bad for Diddy. I really do. I mean,
why?
Well, I know what he did was absolutely wrong.
Right.
He had no business doing those things, not only to Cassie, but to all the other people that have come out to declare their involvement, or even the ones who haven't been brave enough to come out.
Right.
Of course, I feel sorry for those people and what they went through, but I don't know. I just have this affinity because, he's this self-made billionaire.
Right.
And he was so successful in his craft. I just hate that this is the end result. I just hate it. And I don't know if it's not him in particular. I think I would just hate it for anyone who found themselves in this position. At the same time, though, he did it to himself.
He did it to himself. Yes, he did.
And I understand that. And I'm aware of that. I can't even really express why I feel bad for him, but I do. With anybody, money is the corrupter.
Right.
And that's what happened. I mean, was he sick prior to money? Probably. And money just made it all that much worse.
For me, I just, I feel bad for anybody who's in jail, whether it's deserving or not. That's terrible. You got roaches crawling all on you. You're in this 4x4 cell, nothing to do but sit there and look at the walls. And he's probably going crazy too because he's going through withdrawals from whatever drugs he may be taking. I heard he was taking something called Stussy, whatever that is.
It's Tussie.
Tussie, that's what it is. Tussie sounds like some, I don't even know. They say it's some pink powder. So I have no clue. And to be honest, I don't know much about Diddy. I don't know why Diddy's as famous as he was. I don't know if he has a music label. The only thing I know about Diddy is that he owned Ciroc, or Ciroc was his thing. Outside of that, I don't know if he has a record label.
That's how he started.
His record label.
His Bad Boy Records.
Okay, so that song that's going around on TikTok makes a whole lot of sense now.
That's the Notorious B.I.G. Among many, many others were on that record label.
Okay.
He really came from nothing and made this massive record label, made tons of money. Did he do artists wrong? He did. There are stories of him not doing the right thing by his artist, as just kind of continued into this shit show that we're witnessing now. But I have an affinity for any self-made person, especially any self-made black man. And I was really proud of him, but very sad that this was the end result. So sad about it.
Yeah, I don't necessarily feel that way. Like I said, I don't really have an affinity for Diddy, but on a humanitarian level, I feel bad for him. Of course, that sucks, but it is the bed he made, so he has to lay in it. I'm a person who I feel more bad for the victims, but at the same time, it's a double-edged sword, because on one end, I feel like you signed a deal for ass for cash, and that was the deal. And on the other hand,
that's rough, man.
But it's the truth. Yeah. And on the other hand, I feel like that nobody should have to be subjected to that. But let Orlando Brown say that's the only way to make it big in those industries, whether it be acting or music. What gets me is, why did he have 1,000 bottles of baby oil?
That is unbelievable.
I've been watching these TikTok guys, and the stuff you guys are coming up with is ridiculous.
Hilarious.
sense. It's hilarious. I saw some, you see some, they're slipping and sliding on the floor. I saw one where this guy is throwing a wine, sitting in a chair mat with his wine glass and throws the wine glass. And he's all like, fuck. And then it says in captions, Johnson and Johnson, after they realized they're not getting Diddy's next big subscription, I was rolling. It's just like what 1,000 bottles of baby oil. I can't even begin to fathom what it is you're doing with all that oil.
You know what I was thinking? Maybe he's having like, he puts up all the plastic all over the floors and
what be slipping and slide. Right. It's like a slip and slide event.
Maybe that's what's going on.
That's crazy.
Who knows? I mean, your thoughts and your imagination goes like all over the place.
It really does.
Who knows? Who knows? He's just a sick guy, But what's interesting? There are so many others that are implicated.
Right, because they're saying that Jay-Z's next.
So is this just a thing? It's like you said, Orlando Brown said, this is just a part of being successful. And that's a scary thought. So you think about everybody that has come up in the past, and you have to wonder, were they a part of this whole scenario in some form?
One thing, it's like when it comes to Justin Bieber, right? Because we all know, we've all seen the video. And if you were in pop culture at the time when this was happening, I remember Justin making this video with Diddy's talking about they're having this 3-day excursion that they're going to, Justin staying at Diddy's house and having 3 days or a weekend with Diddy or something like that. And it's like a 3-day weekend. And, you hear all of Justin Bieber's songs now. And I saw a TikTok and it showed, and it had the thing where he was younger, or no, he's older. And it says the man who wrote the song and then the boy who lived it. And they put up his younger pictures when he first made it. Crushed. I was crushed because it's almost like you're ruining my childhood. How many other child actors and artists were subjected to the things Justin Bieber were? Hannah Montana, what's her name? Miley Cyrus, Drake Bell, like all of these kids. And then some you hear, they say they've never experienced anything like that, but they're not famous either, you see.
And also, there's probably so many who are afraid to come forward embarrassed.
I mean, I could imagine because
there's probably many.
Because the world is nosy, and not only they want you to come forward, but they want to know what went down.
Right.
And you have to be brave, and you have to be brave enough to say what all went down, and shamelessly.
And too, you mentioned Justin Bieber. I saw a YouTube video about him and his new baby.
And boy, the white girls fell out when that baby got. Boy, the way that they were on social media acting was ridiculous.
Oh my God!
It was a Great Depression.
Ridiculous. But they said Justin Bieber didn't want to talk about his experience there with Diddy.
I could imagine.
He still hasn't come to terms with what happened to him. And I didn't hear this, but I kind of get the feeling that he wants to just move on with his life. However, I think it's something he's going to have to work through before his life can be what he wants it to be. It was traumatic, it seems, for him.
Right.
Because can you imagine what it's like when you look yourself in the mirror and be able to tell yourself that you sold your body and sold your soul to be successful? That's probably so hard to reconcile emotionally. I feel bad for him and anybody who was in that position.
And he's very emotional too, because it's like he, even in his concert shows, he like has these moments where he's talking to the crowd and it's like real open heart. He's like being real vulnerable. And, my heart bleeds for Justin. It really does, man. Shout out to Justin Bieber. And I hope that your soul gets the healing that it deserves and it needs.
Also, too, I wonder with these new revelations, and another young lady just came forward yesterday and talked about her experience experiences with Diddy and at one of his freak offs. And there's going to be so many more to come. And I fear that Diddy will not get out of jail for the rest of his life.
Oh no, that's it for him. And quite honestly, I think Diddy is crazy for coming back to the States anyway, knowing that his situation, when he fled the first time, he should have stayed wherever it was he was at and tried to live a new life or a different life. But he came back, they got him. And the scary part for a lot of people in Hollywood and in the famous community at large, whoever was associated with Diddy in any shape or form, it's just like you said, Twist, if not too long ago, if you're on a video with no shirt on, you're implicated at that point, right?
Yeah, so you're going to start thinking about, okay, so in 19...
right.
Yeah, right. Okay, I was there.
Right.
I don't think I witnessed anything. Did somebody see me going?
They got all the tapes.
Yeah, look, they're probably sweating bullets.
Probably. I would be.
Because they don't know what's going to come out and when. And that's just, it's probably the scariest feeling. You know, when Cat Williams had the interview on Club Shay Shay, and he said that all truths will be told in 2024, who knew?
And I wonder what made him say that.
I know.
What conversations was who was he talking to that, you know, they had an agreement or an understanding that things were going to jump off in 2024, because they definitely did. And you guys, that interview blew up so much and it didn't make sense why that video was blowing up the way it was as rapidly as it was. I knew then, I didn't know it was going to be all of this, but I knew then that whatever it is that Cat Williams is talking about, it was only the surface of what was to come. And we're starting to see all of these things float to the surface. And it's disturbing. It's very disturbing. And guys, I'm part of the nosy community. I want to know more. I want to know everything that was going on. Like, what? Now, where? Now, who? Where? Why? Where? When? I want to know it all. So, yeah, guys, the whole Diddy situation is crazy. And then it's almost like they said they're coming after. And then let's talk about Jaguar Wright. Let's tell divers, what do you think about Jaguar Wright? For the divers who don't know, Twist can give you some insight on who this woman is.
Jaguar Wright is an artist.
Oh, I didn't know that.
She was one of the crew, the whole Bad Boy crew.
Oh, she was on.
Now, was she signed to Bad Boy Records? I believe so. However, don't quote me on that.
Right.
But nevertheless, she was a part of that crew. Oh. With Aaliyah. She was in that Foxy Brown. She was in that crew. She's an amazing talent.
See, I didn't know this.
She's an amazing talent. She has a beautiful voice.
Okay.
I'm not sure how Jaguar Wright knows what she knows, but she has not been wrong.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people are turned off by her because of her delivery.
Yeah, it's very
It's kind of like the Monique versus Taraji thing.
Right.
It's kind of like that. Her delivery is so aggressive.
Right.
And so harsh that a lot of people have a hard time taking in what she has to say.
Right.
But she has been dead on so far. I like her. I think she's a great storyteller. But I can also see how people would be turned off by her as well. But
she talks about all of these other artists that will be implicated in all of this.
No, she says Jay-Z is next.
Does she say why?
Well, all she says is that Jay-Z is worse than all of them. Now, what that means or what he's done compared to Diddy and R. Kelly and
because if he's worse than them, that's saying something. Because Diddy's out here knocking girls down, kicking them, dragging them down the hallway, hotel hall. It's just kind of like, dang, in the
Just
middle of the
savagery.
hotel, no clothes
Savagery.
on.
Yeah, torturous behavior.
1,000 bottles of Johnson and Johnson. I'm not letting that go.
I do not know how she knows these things, but you guys, she's been right on. So if we can continue with the pattern, I would say that the dominoes are falling.
Yeah, I really. I'm curious, but I'm also nervous to hate, because then that means B, you're also implicated. The Hive is also implicated as well in that case.
But you know what? I don't know, because I think our society has such a hard time putting the onus on the female partners in these scenarios. They always They always they always look at them as victims.
The women,
instead of being complicit in some form.
Well, right. Oh, so you think that she wouldn't even catch as much heat?
Exactly. I don't think she'd catch any. I don't think she'd catch any. I think the consensus would be, oh my God, poor B. Oh my God, I can't believe she's been living like this. That's what's going to happen. They're not going to implicate her in any shape, form, or fashion. That is my complete and total belief.
I saw an interview where Jaguar Wright was saying that she should be implicated and that she's also been up to no good. She also said that artists like J-Lo, Mary J. Blige, Rick Ross, DJ Khaled, let me think, all a few, all of those that I've mentioned that I can recall,
and a few others.
She said also need to be tried to the same extent that Diddy is being tried right now, or will be tried. And I just don't know what to think about that. I mean, like, these are the pillar stones of music coming up, you know?
See, this is why I was saying earlier when we first started our session, is that I don't have an affinity so much for the person, but just for what they represent.
Right. I mean, I can understand that better.
That's like my young adulthood.
Right.
Diddy and I think we're almost the same age. But, it was like the beginning of this West Coast, East Coast, hip hop. It was just, it was a time. It was a time. And, some of the best rappers that we know were in this era and of these record labels. And it just brings back so many feelings for me that are positive. So that's why it's just hurtful. It's just hurtful that this is what it's come to.
It is.
Now, of course, Diddy is just absolutely dead wrong. And doing entirely too much and acting like he's a mob boss and, doing things he shouldn't have been doing. I get that. I understand that. I have feelings for the people that endured it. I just hate it. I can't say it enough, you guys. I just hate it.
Yeah, it seems like an end of an era in a way. I don't know if that's the right choice of words.
Absolutely, it does. That's how it feels.
Because that's how I felt thinking about all of those artists that I mentioned. Thinking like, dang, if they were involved or up to any kind of thing. But, from my understanding, I thought Mary J. Blige and J-Lo were also considered victims of whatever happened to Diddy. Now, maybe Jaguar Wright saying that they should be convicted and charged because they never said anything. But if that's the case, then so does Cassie. Because Cassie would also be held to that same rule.
Everybody's guilty because everybody sat and stood around and let it happen and also aided in the activities. But you know what? You can't really do that. Diddy is the one that's ultimately responsible because, again, those were their jobs. Whether they had any moral compass or not, well, that's another story. But Diddy is, going to be held responsible for the atrocities that he's committed. So it's unfortunate, and I wonder what everybody else thinks. Like,
me too.
Like, how does the society at large feel about the victims in this scenario? They said that Diddy would have like IV drips, so like their freak offs would last days, like 72 hours, days on end, and would keep them drugged up.
On the drip.
And keep them drugged up and active. And then when they were just tired and exhausted, they would get an IV drip to perk them back up, and so they can keep on going.
That is terrible.
Yeah. That's what has come out in the indictment documents. And it's like several accounts from several different people. That's why he's charged with sex trafficking, because he was bringing women from different states to his freak offs in New York, Los Angeles, Miami. And they have several witnesses that are attesting to this activity. So he's done. That's a fact. And I think that it's killing him that all of the money that he has, there's nothing that he can do. And did you know, which I did not know until the other day, the feds have a 94 or 96% success rate. So when they come get you,
you're done.
You're God.
Yeah.
You're God. And there's nothing that you can do. And I'm sure that he's having a hard time reconciling that in his head, because he's always gotten away with everything. He's always been able to throw money at it and it go away. So I'm pretty sure that's having a serious mental effect on him.
Didn't he offer like $50 to $80 million
yes.
to get bail?
Yes, $50 million. Relinquish his passport, house arrest, and they basically said no because they feared that he was going to try to intimidate witnesses, and he has done that in the past apparently. So they're thinking, okay, well, yes, just because you're at home and you're on house arrest doesn't mean it's going to stop you from going into your regular activities.
Right.
So they don't want to chance it. So that's why he's been denied bail twice.
Diddy's on suicide watch right now as we speak.
Yeah.
Because he's losing it. He's losing it. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see the trial, guys. This is going to be a huge thing that they're going to make a documentary about and movies and stuff about later on in the next 5 to 10 years.
Surviving Diddy. It's probably going to be the next special.
It'll be Surviving Diddy, and we'll get to hear more intricate details, whether they be bad or horrible. Well, we're gonna hear them, and I'm very interested to hear about it.
It's gonna be good TV.
It's gonna be good TV.
That's for sure. But you know what,
shame
you guys,
on me.
Well, no, I mean, it's just what it is, right?
It is what it is.
People want to be entertained with all the sordid details.
True.
But you know, you guys, what I wonder is, and Cosmic and I were having this conversation earlier today, at what point are the participants complicit?
Right.
You know, I mean, and I know that sounds bad, and all the women were going to be horrified by the statement, but at what point are you responsible for your own well-being?
And I have a hard time with that, because in my mind, I'm like, oh, well, they're weak and they can't defend themselves. And I feel like, oh, well, they may not have had another choice, even though that's not true. And especially in the Cassie situation, where she experiences an abusive episode from Diddy, goes home to her parents. Apparently, they take pictures of the abuse. They, document it. I don't know if they ever did anything with it or not. Why didn't they? I don't know. Why did she go back again? I don't know. I kind of feel like it's hard for me to believe someone is that hollow and someone lacks that much self-respect or just self-anything. It's almost like, how do you say, well, this is what I deserve, so this is what I'm going to go put up with. This is what I'm going to go do. Is it the lifestyle that you want to live? Because when you start really thinking about it, what Twist says makes a lot of sense. Because at what point do we turn around and say, hey, you made this choice to continuously obviously put yourself in these situations where you were being abused and you didn't go get help for whatever reason. You didn't go get help, or you didn't even get away. Say if you never went to go to the authorities or to anywhere and you just left the scene, you know, you took whatever bits of you had left and you just walked off. Why let someone take from you until you have nothing? Until you have nothing? It's like, that's crazy to me. It's crazy to me, and it couldn't be me. But at the same time, I feel bad for the people who, you know, who bought it, you know, and they say, and I always make the argument, well, so a lot of them were kids. Guys, even when I was their age, there were certain things I'm just not going for. If I'm not going for it, I'm just not going for it. You know, reward or consequence be damned. So it's hard for me to, in my mind, make it make sense and put myself in someone's shoes that, you know, it's not hard because I can say, okay, well, they think they're going to be famous. They think they're going to be rich or right. And if that's the case, then even then there's some accountability and responsibility to take for you made the deal, ask for cash if that's what you thought. Whether you made the deal with the person or whether you made the deal with yourself, you still made the deal to make these decisions, to do things that are maybe outside of your character. And I'm sure that's something they have to deal with. They have to deal with, like, oh, is this a part of me? Is what happened to me? Does that mean that I am of this and I am, you know, of this creed? And in a way, I kind of feel like, I mean, you are, because there are some people after that first incident went down, or even before anything went down, they just wouldn't go for it, no matter what. I kind of feel like that.
Well, that's kind of what I was getting at earlier, and I don't know the legalities of it all, but if you are of age, although I know some of they're stating that some of them were not of age, but the ones that are of age that voluntarily participate in these freak offs or participate in Diddy activities.
That's what we'll call them, Diddy activities.
Yeah, I mean, it's consensual. It
is, and no matter how bad it is.
Yeah, I don't understand. Like I said, I don't understand the legalities behind it, because yes, he was saying, hey, you know, yes, I know these women in Los Angeles. Hey, you guys want to come to a party in Miami? Okay, great. And you buy their tickets and they come to a party in Miami. If you're an adult, why is that an issue? And why is it considered sex trafficking?
Right.
See, I don't know. Maybe
True.
Because they were paid for coming, maybe.
Okay, right.
Because they were paid.
Right.
Documents state that tons of cash, and that's exactly how it's worded, tons of cash would be delivered to Diddy in order to pay all of the participants that he had flown in. So maybe that's where the legality comes in, because they were paid. I don't know. But they weren't held against their will, you know, or anything like that. They say that Diddy told them that if you don't do this, you're going to lose your contract, or you're not going to be successful, or I'm not going to assist you. I'm going to blackball you, whatever the case.
Right.
So that's what some of the documents state as well, that they were threatened with the loss of their career if they did not participate. Now, I see your face, right? Now, the way that I look at that is,
right,
in any job, just say, your supervisor, boss, CEO, whatever the case, can come to you and ask you to participate or to do something that you find immoral.
Right.
At that point, you have the option to say, I don't feel comfortable doing that.
Right.
I'm going to opt out. And if they fire you for that, then there's recourse. You go and you get a lawyer and talk to them about wrongful termination. Mm-hmm. Now, if that was what you were being threatened with, isn't that their recourse as well?
It depends on what's in their contract and what they signed.
Maybe so.
Because people never read the fine print and whatnot. So, and to be honest, he could pay your lawyer off to tell you that the contract is good.
That's true. That's
so
true.
You get a lawyer, but the lawyer tells you it's good. You're thinking it's good. And then you realize you don't even own your name anymore.
And I guess it's like David and Goliath, I guess. This small person, you know, trying to fight the system.
Right.
It just won't work.
That's not a good example because David won.
Right, but I'm saying how it's
feels right
to go up against
and most people aren't a David,
right?
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Right. Not only do they don't have the mental fortitude to do it, but they don't have the finances either. So I would imagine that's how they feel, that they're just this little bitty part of this huge machine,
right?
And no one is going to listen to what they have to say if they feel that they are wronged or forced into doing something immoral. I think you just have to make the decision. I don't feel good with this and I'm going to walk away.
Right.
Or go ahead and go with it and see what happens. And I think that's what a lot of them have done. And now they regret it. Now they're having a hard time living with themselves because they can't look themselves in the mirror and feel comfortable with who's looking back.
Yeah.
So,
and that's tough. That's a tough ordeal. But you know, guys, I'm looking forward to the trial. Are you looking forward to the trial?
I'm gonna be glued.
Yeah.
You know what though? I'm just hoping it's gonna be televised because it may not be.
Because there was feds involved.
I don't know. Not.
It just depends on the judge.
Not every trial is televised. Not like YSL, or is that it? YSL
with Young Thug.
Young Thug that's going on right now. That trial, boy, I tell you, it's made for TV. That's why it's been dragging on so long. But I'm hoping that it's going to be televised because that's going to be great TV.
And to if this podcast happens to fall on the ears of any of these potential victims, you know, if you never thought the world would listen to you, they're listening now.
They are
listening. So, you know, the truth will set you free. Not saying you got to tell the world, but tell somebody who has some influence. Get on a documentary if they have one.
What I would like to hear, and I'm glad you bring this up, what I would like to hear is after all this is said and done, or even with the R. Kelly victims, right?
Right.
People always come on to tell their story about what happened.
Right.
I'm more interested in the mental aspect of it. Why did you allow it?
Right.
Why didn't you leave?
Right.
What was the fear?
Exactly.
What was brutally honest.
Right.
If they really want to help others.
Exactly. And that's the whole thing.
That's what needs to be talked about.
Exactly.
I thought I was nothing unless I was in this circle.
Exactly. See, and you know, most people, but you know that with the level of introspection that takes for you to be able to admit that and then still be able to live with that truth. That was a past version of yourself. It doesn't have to be who they are now in present day or in the future, but you have to live with that. That was who you were at this given point in time. I know the little shit that I have and I go through and I think, dang, that was really me at one given point in time. It's a tough pill to swallow, so I can't imagine how hard of a pill that is to swallow, that you like you said, you sold your body and your soul for $1. And a lot of you, like Cassie, the dollar didn't last you too long. It didn't go too far.
It runs
so
out.
That's why she came up on Diddy talking about, I want this much money for what you put me through.
Yeah. That's what I am interested in hearing. I don't know if anybody would ever be as brave or, like you said, as introspective enough to be not only to recognize it but to share it. But that is what's going to help the next young lady coming up, or
she
the
gets
next
in
young
the situation,
man, before she gets into deep,
or before they get into deep.
Right.
It's like Orlando Brown. I just saw a TikTok clip of an interview he did. He's on the beach and he's telling the camera, he's all like, "You guys don't want to be actors and you don't want to be artists. That's not what you want. You want to be an astronaut. You want to be a lawyer. You want to be a doctor. You want to be a profession, an actual trade of profession that's going to be useful to you and the community at large, because the industry isn't it, is what he says.
Well, that's commendable. And I'm glad that he's saying that. But again, why? Because see, what he is saying is what our parents say, right? No, you need to be a doctor. You need to be a lawyer. You need to be, blah, blah. That's great. But why don't I want to be an artist? How come?
But Orlando Brown is very much a Jaguar right now. I wasn't watching him back. I have to go back and watch the interviews he's done. But he's very honest about what goes down in the industry. But nobody listens to him, because this went from the guy we saw watching on That's So Raven to this dude who's been on drugs, clearly. And he was tweaking when they first put him on. And he's saying all of this crazy stuff, and everybody's like, what? Now he has more of his wits about him, and he's still saying all of the stuff he was saying when he was tweaking. So now you're just kind of like, oh, and then the TikTok clip said Unc never lied to us, talking about all of the stuff he was saying back then, and that was years ago when Orlando Brown was on the scene. So I don't have all the information on him right now, but that's definitely someone that we can have a topic of conversation about in the future, because he's another one that is deep into exposing the industry, if you will.
Well, I saw an interview with Orlando Brown and Charleston White, and he was talking about the things that had happened to him in the industry. And Charleston White, so raw and so rude, one of my favorite people though. And, he kind of said, that's why you got, yeah. So, yeah. And he, Orlando Brown didn't deny it. And he was clearly under the influence of something. So it's so difficult for someone to take what he has to say seriously.
Right.
When they see him stumbling, slurring, stuttering. So he's saying the right things, and I think it's coming from the right place, but
it's hard to receive it.
It's hard to receive it because he's just a mess.
But that should be a red flag to people. Hey, this person, to someone I knew in the industry, this is someone who's trying to tell me, because see, what they don't realize is he's probably doing that because he has a hard time living with himself.
But see,
and the decisions he made. So now he's on drugs, and his whole everything is discombobulated. Now no one takes him seriously when everything he's saying is fruit for the souls of those itching and scratching and trying to get into the industry.
But the people who are listening to you don't know what brought you to this point. All they see is the end result.
Right.
What needs to be said, unfortunately, you have to ABC people.
You do.
And
you
unfortunately,
really
he has to say, I self-medicate because it's very difficult for me to live with what has happened to me.
Right.
What I've allowed to happen to me.
Right.
I'm embarrassed. I'm ashamed.
Right.
I have a hard time living in the skin I'm in because of the things that I've experienced. I did it because this was my dream.
Right.
And I was kind of presented with either you do this or you lose your dream. And I decided, well, it's not going to be that bad. Maybe I can take it. Maybe I can endure it so it gets me to where I want to be. And I think for a lot of people, it worked. It got them to where they wanted to be, but the majority, it did not. Now you're left with all of this to sort through. through.
Right.
And the shame is overwhelming. You have to ABC people, because otherwise, I mean, you're asking people to know exactly what happened to you, how your mind works, why you decided to go. Nobody's going to do that.
Yeah.
You have to ABC it. If you really want to help people, you have to just say, you don't want to do this because.
Right.
Just saying that you don't want to do it, people are going to be like, well, my story is going to be different than yours. So yeah, okay, thanks, but no thanks.
Right.
So I just want, because experience is the best teacher, they say, right?
I believe so.
So if people are experiencing these terrible things and they're not sharing it with the society at large, but more so the young people coming up,
right,
then what's,
what good is it?
What good is it?
It's true.
They have to share what happened to them.
It's true.
And why they went for it. Because all the people, there's people right now entering the industry who are having those exact same feelings, the exact same wants, aspirations, and they're going to be done exactly the same way.
It's baby reindeer.
Yes, it is. Exactly.
It's baby reindeer.
Yes, it is.
And
he was a grown man.
And so they don't have to be kids, when you want this dream. And he said in the show, although this is just a movie, but all movies and things we see come from some sort of truth. He's talking about how he didn't feel like he was anything, and the world made it, and the world validated that for him until this guy comes along, getting people to come to his shows. He's starting to blow up in the little city he's in. And then he ends up on benders for days on end at this dude's house. And, unfortunate events take place. And what kills me about that show? And he actually talks about it. He talks about how he struggles wondering if what the guy did to him made him the way he is after, or if that was always in him and the guy just peeped it out in him. I think both are true, because at the end of that show, he ends up going back.
Yes, for more.
After he's gotten the fame, he's gotten everything that he wanted or thought he wanted, and he's down to do another playwright or to write another script for the guy, right?
Yes.
So it's like the psychology behind it is it is a oxymoron for me, and I'm not really sure how to feel about it. I don't want to be a Charleston White and say that's just you, that's your creed, and that's who you are, and you should accept that, and don't be ashamed of it. Do you? Everybody has their dirt that they do, but then the part of me feels like that's insensitive, and some people are just out here making mistakes, and some people are fuck ups and they just make mistakes after mistakes after mistakes. So then I'm like, I don't want to say are you dumb, but it's almost like, what is it? What, like you said, we need to know the whys. We need to know the whys, and I'm a big person. I love to ask why, because I think if I can understand where you were mentally, I can understand the situation that took place.
And it helps you to maybe reconcile your own feelings, because if you know that this person that all this stuff has happened to, that they felt like this, and you know what, I feel like that sometimes.
It helps you relate and it helps you connect to the person, be like, you know what, and I've had some low moments, and weren't as low as yours, but I had some low moments and I was feeling just like that, so I can understand. I get that.
And we are in the world of podcasting, YouTubing, TikToking, Instagramming. There are so many different ways to get things out to the society at large. I hope someone uses one of these platforms to do something that's really, really beneficial and helpful, especially in this whole Diddy thing that's coming out and many others that are involved. Everybody has stars in their eyes and they want to be celebrities and they want to be superstars. And if someone could use their platform to benefit these youngsters, it would be a great thing. But at the same time, you guys, what happened to just wanting to be an average everyday Joe.
Right.
Going to school, getting a great job, having a family, whatever that means to you. Whatever happened to that? Why isn't that an aspiration?
Inflation. But that's a conversation for another day.
Yeah, right. But it's okay to just be an average everyday Joe.
It is.
It really is. I understand. Hell, if you sing well, go sing in the choir.
Not the choir.
Yeah, go sing in the choir.
Go sing on TikTok, on your little TikTok profile.
Something. You don't have to go to Hollywood.
I could tell you, I'll be having a bad day, and I'll be on TikTok, and you hear somebody come around with this amazing voice across my For You page, and it like lifts my whole mood.
Yeah,
and so you're in the way they're many famous, they got a little 30,000 likes or something like that.
You could even monetize your little channel,
right?
Make a little money. Save yourself. Save yourself, because based on what we've witnessed, you guys, over the past couple months and years, I guess at this point,
it's no bueno.
It's not worth it. It's not worth it. So I just wish everybody the best.
Right.
And I look forward to seeing this trial.
I'm
hoping and praying that they're going to televise it, because it is going to be one for the ages.
It is going to be one for the ages, and if they don't televise it, it's just going to be all that more enticing to see all of the stuff that comes out in the years to come. Yeah. But I'm still kind of shaking in my boots of who else is coming up, and I'm waiting to see what Jay-Z's been up to. It's just it is the time of undoing.
Yeah.
And it's a scary time to be in. It's a scary time to be in, and it's a exciting time to be in. We're in the middle of history being made in so many respects, not just with Diddy, but in just so many respects in our country and in the world today. I'm just glad to be here and be a witness to it all. And that's all I have for you guys today. Do you have anything else for today's twist?
No, I don't have anything else, but thank you guys for tuning in with us again today.
All right, guys, that'll be it for us today. You guys continue to dive deep beyond what you see, feel, and think. Thank you guys for joining us today. Gone.